Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my YouTube channel. I still remain your babe, Yetunde Doyin-Ishola, Y_pretty official, and today we'll be talking about some of the current happenings in the country today, which is for subsidy. But before we go on, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. We'll be back after a short break. Thank you. Okay, you're welcome back to my channel, and like I said, we'll be talking about fuel subsidy, which is one of the things that is going on right now, the in thing, the topic in Nigeria today. Fuel subsidy, good, bad, right time to remove it, not the right time to remove it. What is your view about it? For me, fuel subsidy in the first place is government subsidizing for the difference in between the pump price and the amount that is being used to import it. So it's like the government is subsidizing for us that are citizens of the country or those that are staying in the country, which is supposed to ease what we are doing. But for me, the reverse is the case, because the whole essence of subsidy had been lost over time. We see that even when these things are being provided for, we don't, sometimes it's hard for us to find it. And why is it so? Because it's not even enough. The supplies is not even enough. Now, the removal of the subsidy, what will happen when that is done, or now that that is done? Now that that is done, removal of fuel subsidy will mean deregulation. And deregulation is when the government removes its hands, literally now, removes its hands from a certain policy. And now when the government is out, it means that investors can come from far and near, private investors can come. Yes, there's an advantage. What is the advantage? The advantage to me is cutting down those that they are paying subsidies for, because it has now turned to a corrupt sector. But the disadvantage, yes, will feel the pain. The disadvantage is that now prices will go up and prices will be highly competitive. You can get it at 1 kobo here while you get it at 2 naira here. For instance, now the other day I went out, I think I bought it at 488 something, and I saw it in some places 490, 500, that and the rest. It's really a bitter pill to chew now. And I will take a word from what my pastor preached today. He said, this fuel subsidy thing, sorry, I had to really look at my jottings during the service today. He said, subsidy removal is like Nevaquin. He said Nevaquin is something that, Nevaquin is bitter in the mouth. And when you take Nevaquin, it doesn't, the malaria you take, usually when we're young, some might not know Nevaquin, but when we were young, we used to take Nevaquin. We were given Nevaquin for malaria. And when you take Nevaquin, according to his explanation, which is true, when you take Nevaquin, it's for malaria, and it's like it pushes the malaria out. It's like the malaria gets worse and worse and worse before the Nevaquin starts working and before you feel better. Really, just a clear definition of the fuel subsidy. That was the clear definition he used. Because right now, the removal of fuel subsidy is like a bitter pill. Yeah, I know. It's a bitter pill for most of us. But I know that even the most of us, we are happy about it. It's a bitter pill because it's difficult for us to adjust now. It's not easy. It's not easy to buying fuel. Maybe you've been buying fuel of or maybe 25 liters keg. Probably you've been buying for a certain amount, and overnight it costs even more than 100%. It's difficult, but really the later on, as time goes on, we will get used to it. Fine, removal of fuel subsidy has to come with something, needs to be put in place for it to normalize, to help everybody stabilize. And what are these things that probably the government should look at to help us in normalizing or to help us in stabilizing us in our everyday life? Okay, like I said all along, subsidy really is a no for me, because it is now a corrupt is now a corrupt thing, because subsidies are being paid, but it's really breeding corruption. And when we talk about corruption, first, the only government that has had the boldness to come out to say, I'm stopping this thing, is the present government, even if all those that came up during the election all said they will remove subsidy. Even the very minute they get there, what is that telling us? That is telling us that subsidy on its own is no longer it has lasted, it has overlasted its value. It's no longer something we are enjoying. It's something that some corrupt few are enjoying. And now when we talk of corrupt few, we are talking about corruption. What actually is corruption? Corruption is not just government. Corruption is everybody. Corruption is you and I. Corruption is that person that is ready to take something in return for whatever proposal I go to fly. That indeed is corruption. Corruption does not carry any name tag. Corruption does not carry any religious tag. Neither does corruption carry any tribal tag. Corruption is we. Corruption is you. Corruption is me. Corruption is everybody. Because its corruption has gone in depth into every sectors of our everyday life. It has gone into the church. Even we as Christians, we no longer know our rights from wrong. You can imagine when somebody has a contract with you and the person has to give you something for that contract to move. That is corruption. So we are all guilty of what we are talking about. We are talking about some corrupt few in charge of oil subsidies. Of course, we are all guilty, because when you are in your cubicle and you collect money back in return for a favor, then it's not even a favor for something that you need to do. It's corruption. You get to the airport, everybody is like, well done, sir, what do you have for me? That is corruption. You go somewhere, the person says, okay, for me to do this, if you don't give me this, I won't give you that. That is corruption. So corruption is everywhere, not only in the government or high places. Corruption is everywhere within us. Reason why we all, even as Christians, we have to work against this corruption. We have to work against seeing that really this thing we call corruption is brought, if not eradicated, it's brought to the barest minimum for now. And it's not a day's job. We keep condemning the government. It's really not a day's job. It's not something that a government will do within 4 years. It's not something that they will even do within 8 years or within. It's something that has been there all along. So we as Christians, what are our contributions towards this? What are the things that we are doing to see that corruption, in every way we tackle corruption in our little cubicles? As Christians, corruption is what pollutes your body, spirit, and your soul. Corruption is something that, okay, for instance, now I go to the filling station to buy fuel, and the fuel assistant is asking me to give him money so that he can sell for me. Is that not corruption? During the cash crunch, POS, those that had this POS thing, what were they doing? They were collecting money for money. Can you imagine? Is that not corruption? And we all stand up to talk against the government. No. As Christians, we should see to it that even we, because we go to church, we say all the prayers and everything. Unfortunately, we see that when all these things happen, who do we meet there? The so-called Christians. Why? We need to, if according to what God told us, that, sorry, I keep saying as Christians, probably because I'm a Christian, so I can only use my faith to talk about. I can only talk about it vis-a-vis my faith, being a Christian. But really, unfortunately for so many of us, poverty has blurred the lines of our knowing where to draw the line. Poverty has blurred the lines of where to know what to do, what is right and what is wrong. Because we are not supposed to be seen as if you and I now decide to like, okay, I won't do this. And it starts from me, it starts from you. Yes, it will go to each and every one like that, like that. And yes, we can do it. But unfortunately, we are also the very first thing when anybody comes to you for something is, what do I want to make out of it? You don't have to. So we are talking about corruption vis-a-vis oil subsidy. Unfortunately, it's not just there. It is everywhere in all sectors. It is everywhere in what we all do in our different offices. You can imagine me, okay, maybe now I go to probably maybe for instance I'm trying to do the papers of my land and I have to go to the ministry for that. Getting there, nothing moves until you are able to tip one or two ants. That is highly wrong. And we sit there and complain about the government or condemn the government. No, it is not just the government, it is we all. Because the government can only do its own. And when the government do its own, what are we doing? That is a big question. Then let's talk about the family. The family too has a lot to do in this thing because sometimes it is what we input into, it is input that brings out output. Because it is what you put into the children, it is the examples that they see. What values are you giving them? What is your moral standing? What are you teaching your children? Are you teaching them to be, even God said, wait, that you should wait on the Lord. Are you teaching them to wait until it is their time? When you teach a child, when you as a parent, what can you show that you are doing? And maybe you ride big cars and the rest. Of course, that child too will want to grow up overnight and start riding a Mercedes and start riding a Ferrari, start riding a Lamborghini, you know. And what can the child say he or she is doing? We've seen children that brings things that they can't even afford, bring it home to their parents, and their parents are happy to receive it. Those are the type of family we are breeding now. Those are the types of society we are bringing up now, which is part of the things we should look at. For me, I think the family system has a lot to do in the making and or whether this country will either stand or not stand, whether we can wipe out corruption or not. The family has a lot to do in what we tell them. Yes, all our different religions, the churches and everywhere, we all have a lot to do because what are we preaching? Even most churches now, well, sometimes when you get to a church where prosperity is not preached, you don't see people there. But where prosperity is preached, you see people there. What are we telling our people? What are we putting to them? We are talking about corruption. When there is corruption in the land, nothing can thrive. So we all have to come together to fight it. Because as a person, when you are giving, sometimes you are giving a gift. When you are giving a gift and the gift is to induce or to help or to help in doing something, then you should know that those gifts are gifts that should be rejected. I remember then when I was growing up, when my father used to work in New Nigerian newspapers of those days. He was a journalist, he was an editor. He told us different stories of when he has been offered different types of amount, money and everything that he rejected. While we were young, we were thinking, Daddy, why now? Daddy, why now? But right now, I really appreciate that because that was the kind of upbringing I came up from. That's the type of family I come from, where when it is bribe or it is given to influence something, it is rejected. You don't have to do it. When you turn down such offers, I know I've heard of stories of Baba Onosode too before, of different offers that he has rejected. And it's still part of, all those were still part of, trying to like, no, if it's not right, it is not right. We have to do the right thing. So we have to come together to see that things are done in the right way. And when we are talking about, we are talking about fuel subsidy and the rest. Okay, fine. Fuel subsidy has been removed. I know everybody's talking about palliatives. What did the government do? The refineries, are they working out this and that? Yeah, I agree. There has to be palliatives that should be put in place. And what are the palliatives? Yeah, that's money that goes into subsidy before. It should be plugged back into the economy of the country. Plugging back into the economy of the country, how? Basic amenities will be provided, like the roads, good roads. We should have good and better roads, increase in wages, maybe the light system should run well, the water system, all basic amenities. Even go to the education sectors, from the primary, secondary to the university level. That should all basic amenities should be provided for. They should see that, okay, I understand that even in the government secondary schools and primary schools, it's still free education. But let me ask, how free is that free education? Is it a free education that teachers are still telling them to bring this, to bring that? So there should be some things put in place to guide against such occurrence. There could be free education. What about textbooks? Are they not buying textbooks? Government could provide for that too. Those are type of the palliatives I am expecting, and I am sure this government will work towards. They should really see that things are put in place for things to work right. When the fuel subsidy is removed, in fact, when so many Dangote is coming up, I should believe soon, it's been commissioned, and I'm sure there will be other ones. I'm sure the other ones that we had that are down now will be repaired. I'm sure when that is done, there will be high competition, and I'm sure things will move better for us. And really, I want to leave us with one thing that my pastor said. He said, and I quote, let me read. He said, until we have people like Nathan who will be able and bold enough to say to the Davids around them that you should not have done this, or you should, for me, or you should not even do this, that is when things will move. And really, I agree. So let's ponder on this. Thank you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Bye.